Hello everyone, Jessica here with another layout for the ThermOWeb design team. Today I'm using some Deco Foil Brutus Monroe designer toner sheets in the kaleidoscope pattern to make a giant Christmas ornament on my scrapbook layout. So I've got my toner sheet here. I am just going to pull one of them out. This one is a clear one, so I am just pulling out my circle cutter here and my ruler to just measure how big this is and how big I can possibly go, which is 8 inches across. And it's a circle, so it's going to be 8 the whole way around. And I am just using my circle cutter, making sure I have this lined up and making sure I'm not going to go over any of my edges anywhere. So I'm using this with my Olfa mat and ruler and my cutting blade there, as you can see on the right, just in case I needed it to trim anything off, which I did here. And then I'm just going to pull in some papers here, and I'm playing with some washi tape here because my son is actually using one of my washi tapes on a craft that he's making right now. So from time to time you'll see me messing with that, but it's for him. So I have these beautiful papers by Pretty Little Studio. I'm going to be using this Comfort and Joy collection by them. I'm cutting out another circle in white cardstock just to go behind my ornament because I'm actually going to make this into a giant shaker. So I've got my dates on the back of my photos here. I'm just going to program that date into my date stamp. They're from 2 different days, but I'm just going to act like it was the same day because it's my 2 boys here. So I'm just going to put one date in there right before Christmas and call it a day. So I'm just using some easy tear tape to actually adhere these down to the scrap piece of my white cardstock that I cut the other circle out of. And I'm just going to map my photos with that, and I'll trim that with my cutting board that's beside me here. It's pretty big, so I don't usually pull it into my videos. And then I am just cutting the branding strip off of the bottom of my pattern paper as well. So that's all good to go. And then I'll move that cutting mat here in a moment because I'm pretty much done with that at this point, but I wanted to make a little topper for the top of my ornament. So I'm just using a scallop punch. I use the bigger one that I have here just in some scraps of paper from my stash, and I'm just going to use that as a topper for my actual ornament. So then I pulled out my other punch here, which is just a circle reinforcement punch. It's typically used for bindings on little mini albums and things like that, but I'm using it for the top of my little ornament. So I'm going to string some ribbon or something through there. I didn't have my hole punch to cut the middle out. It's actually upstairs. I was working on a little mini album up there the other day and I didn't bring that back down. So I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife here to trim that little hole out in a little bit here. But for now, I'm going to get this foiling going. So my laminator is heated up beside me, and I am just going to use a craft and carrier sheet to sandwich this in between. So I'm pulling out one of these, and then I am just placing my foil directly over to my design sheet here. And then I'm going to run that through my hot laminator. I do have 2 sheets of foil on there, but it comes out perfect. You can't even tell that there is a difference or a line or anything, so it comes out perfectly fine. And then I have this beautiful foiled ornament, and I just love it. So I'm pulling out my sequin bin here by Spiegelmom Scraps. I do have a lot more sequins. This is just one of my sequin bins. Yes, I'm kind of a sequin snob, as my friend Nicole calls it, but I have accumulated quite a lot of them. So I'm going to sort through that here in a second and see which pack that I have that matches this collection, and then use that to fill my giant ornament here. That's actually the one that I'm going to use, that road tripping one. It was one of the first ones I pulled out. I was kicking around using that one. It has like a little bit of a cranberry color in it, which also looks really pretty, but I decided to go with the road tripping mix because it did match this collection pretty well. So I actually ended up using the entire packet of sequins, but I think I've used that on a couple layouts already, so I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my machine stitching. As you see there, I went and did that on my brother's sewing machine. I left a little pocket open at the very top, and I'm just dumping in the excess sequins here. I did spill a couple, so I'm just going to grab those and just put them back in. And it kind of just got away from me a little bit, but then I will just use my sewing machine again to seal the rest of that up and sew just across the top. And then that's going to make my giant sequin ornament, shaker ornament. So I love it. It's just so pretty. And my boys are here too. So I have a couple little helpers today. They're going to be popping into the video here in a moment. They help me finish up this layout and finish embellishing and sticking things down. So you'll see them here in the frame in a little bit. For now, I'm going to go ahead and pull this mat out of there because I'm done with that. I've got my large ornament made pretty much. I'm just going to add some ribbon or thread or something through the top. And I'm just going to go ahead and map my photos again using one of the pattern papers from this collection from the smaller paper pad, and just using some more easy tear tape to adhere these layers together as well. Then I will trim them down on my paper cutter beside me, and I'll distress these edges with my edge distresser. If you don't have one of those, you can use your scissors as well. So there's my two photos of my little guys, and they are also here beside me. And I'm just going to start pulling out embellishments now. So I've got this beautiful title piece by Color Cast Designs that I'm going to use at the bottom. It says Merry Everything. So pay attention now when you can see it in the video, because in the photos at the end, you can't see the white writing very well up against the white background, but I can tell what it says here just fine. And in person, you can tell what it says just fine, but it's a little bit hard to see in the finished photos for some reason. But I'm just going to add little bits and pieces. I'm going to embellish this a little bit, add some die cuts, some of those cute little stars. I'm going to pull out some little trees from this collection, add those. I'm just going to go ahead and stick down my ornament here. My boys are going to help me make sure that that's nice and stuck down to my layout. So you'll see their little hands come in. I'm shaking it. My son wanted to try it out too and see what it was like to shake it. So I let him have it for a second. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut this hole out of the middle because, again, my little hole punch is actually upstairs. So I'm just going to grab that and put that down. And then they wanted to help me go ahead and press this down. So little hands are just the best. So he's going to start handing me things here. I'm going to keep placing everything down on my layout with some easy tear tape. I'm going to actually grab my Ultra Bond liquid glue as well because it dries super clear and you'll never see it. So I'm going to use that on quite a few pieces here, like my acrylic piece. I'll go ahead and glue that down with my Ultra Bond liquid adhesive. My son there has got my easy tear tape that you see. I'm using quite a lot of that in this layout, and I also used a little bit of tape runner too. So some of those little scallop edges and things, I did use my tape runner to stick those down. So I'm just going to start sorting through these little die cuts. My little guy here is placing them in my bowl for me whenever I sort through them. And I'm just going to use this one here. I'm going to place on top of my photo, and I'm actually going to put my date stamp on there, which I've already got programmed in. I just need to grab some ink and actually stamp that here and place down on my layout. So I'm just grabbing the date. And I've used some black archival ink for that part, and then I used my little tape runner for that. So he's grabbing some trees for me. I thought that was a great idea. I am going to add these trees on because this layout is actually of my little guys under our Christmas tree or beside it. So that goes perfectly with this layout. And this collection comes with a ton of stuff to use on your layout, so I really like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue this title piece down with my Ultra Bond liquid adhesive because I know that's exactly where I want it to go. I'm not going to move it around at all. I'm not going to place anything under it or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. My little guy here is beside me again with his washi tape. He keeps losing the end of it, so it keeps sticking back together. I have to keep finding the end for him. But he's making me something, and you're going to see what it is here in a second. So it's pretty cool. My little guy up here is pointing at things. He's got my glue there, and he keeps handing it back to me. So he's a super good helper. They're both really good helpers. But Oliver is actually working on a little project, so he's not in the frame quite as much, but they are just excited to be here and helping Mommy's scrap. They just love it. So Otto is right there in the top, grabbing all of my things and sorting through them, seeing which ones I need. He's saying, use this title, Mommy, use these words, Mommy. And I'm like, oh, I already have words on it, but I don't think we need any more of those. But he's just having a blast looking through the things. So I'm going to add a couple of these little stars, popping them up with some Gina K 3D foam squares. I did use a couple different sizes because I had some smaller stars on here, so I did use both of those sizes by her. And I'm just going to finish embellishing this, and then I will pop in again with the finished layout at the end of this video. But if you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know in the comments below, and I will absolutely do my best to answer. And here comes Oliver with his finished project he was working on. He made me a little book and glued all the layers together and attached some washi tape at the very top, wrote his name on it. Thought that was super cute. He's getting to be pretty creative. So my last finishing touch here is just some tissue paper. So I've just cut some off of some tissue paper from my stash in like a little strip, and my little guy here had helped me crinkle it up a lot so that I could just tuck this in around my ornament, and that really adds so much to it. I just love using tissue paper on my layouts. So here's the finished result. I hope you guys enjoyed this process today. I hope you liked my little guys helping me out, and I hope you enjoyed seeing my one little guy's finished project in my video just a little bit ago. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.